Welcome, friends, to this session today. I am P.S. Khandelwal. I started my banking career from State Bank of India in 1974, and I retired at end 2017 from IndusInd Bank as Chief Compliance Officer. Today's subject is how to deal with different type of customers. We shall discuss following topics: the need for business correspondent agents to understand about these aspects, soft and hard skills, what are they, and what are the skills required for building relations. As we all know, in our life, building relationships is very important. Human beings, we live in society, we live with family, we are in our professional life, in all aspects of our life, relationship is fundamental in all our activities. Good relationships help us even in our professional life and help us to succeed in life. Our relationships depend on our behavior, how we deal with other people. Now, as a BCA, business correspondent agent, they are the intermediaries between the bank and its customers. Banking business, as we have seen, requires dealing with numerous persons because banks has large number of customers, so it requires dealing with large number of people. Business correspondents particularly have to deal with large number of financially excluded people, and that requires their role is very important. Dealing with people, convincing them, building up relationship with people is difficult if we want to establish good relationship. A business correspondent is also face of the bank where there is no bank branch. So the image of the bank depends on how business correspondent deals with people. Assisting people directly in various banking and finance related matters is a very important duty of function of a business correspondent. And for this, discharging this function, building up trust with other persons also becomes important. In financial inclusion, essentially, a business correspondent becomes the friend, philosopher, and guide of the persons who are the customers with whom he deals. So, communications with bank and people is essential part of the role of business correspondent. And the success of a business correspondent depends on how effectively he can communicate with these. Bank has a lot of dependence on the business correspondent agent for discharging its role in financial inclusion, for expanding its activity in the rural areas where it is represented by BCA. Bank's business correspondent agent is a very important functionary, and he is very valuable because BCA is a person who is familiar with the rural people, is familiar with rural economy, the dialect of the rural persons, understanding them well, and also their psychology or how they to deal with them. For dealing with people, one needs to have a lot of skills. To be successful in professional life, also we need several skills. Our skills can be divided into two parts. One, hard skills, other soft skills. Hard skills are those skills which are also known as technical skills, which are required for specific to the profession or to the work which one does. Like a carpenter needs to know how to do carpentry, how to cut wood, how to smoothen wood, and how the wood should be polished later on. This is his technical skill, which is hard skill. Soft skills are those which apply to a person in every walk of life. It could be professional life, it could be personal life, it could be within family. So, hard skills, let's see, the elements are academic skills, for particularly in banking area, or which are knowledge professions, the academic aspects, theoretical knowledge of those various subjects, how it is like in credit, one should understand the balance sheet, understand the financial aspects. Experience, one sharpens these skills, sharpens the professional understanding, the technical aspects of particular area through experience and the level of expertise developed. In banking, you have persons who are expert in credit, you have persons who are expert in foreign exchange, or persons who are expert in understanding the needs of retail customers or corporate uh, requirements, financial requirements, the level of expertise. Soft skills are those skills which are partly by nature, but they can be self developed. One has to work on them. They are the interactive aspects of a person, how one can interact with others, the communicative aspects, where conveying the ideas and knowing, understanding the ideas of others, human aspect, understanding of the human feelings, the how the other person might be uh, experiencing, and transfer. These are transferable. They can be taught. They can be learned. There are certain specialties of soft skills. We all know that right from our school age. But just to recapitulate so that we can understand better, these can be learned as we just discussed. What does it mean? It means we are nice, we behave with other people in a proper manner so that we are affable, they like us, to be able to play together, to be able to play or work together as a team, working. No job can be done alone. To use manners appropriately, in which situation, how to behave is important part. Having social grace to be in society, in public, how to maintain the grace. Whenever human beings interact, certain conflicting situations do arise. So, ability to resolve conflicts, resolve differences, to appreciate other people, and to be polite with them using please and thank you, these words. Having an attitude of friendliness, to be able to have good rapport, good relation with other persons, having optimism of looking for all positive outcomes in various situations, to be able to persuade others using persuasive language, so that to be able to bring others to one's own point of view through discussion and through convincing them. Skills, these skills are useful in building various relationships, and relationship building is important. Now, what are they? Having good communication with other persons. In human life, communication is very important. So, to be able to convey our message properly, active listening is important. Patience, positivity, optimism, confidence, having confidence, building confidence with others, problem solving skills, resolving any problem some situation to get the best result out of it, being accountability for the outcomes of one's actions, apologizing if there are any slips, if one has inadvertently caused harm to someone, to accept it and apologize gracefully, and developing good communication skills, which is combination of various skills. So for relationship, good communication is important. There could not be any relationship among human beings if there was no communication. In fact, there is communication even with animals, among animals, and between human being and animals. When we have pets, there is communication between the owner and the pet. Communication among humans can be written or oral. Both are important. In written, letters, etc., the type of language used should be proper. facts should be stated clearly, message should be clear. Now, a BCA has to have the capability of understanding the needs of the customer and doing what is required essentially for the customer, doing those things. Communication could be written and oral, therefore, communicate confidently, loudly with an upbeat tone, which raises confidence in other people. Helpful qualities should be there. What are they? Listening to others. It gives an image that you are helpful to other persons. Having self-control, keeping control on oneself, not losing one's cool. Positivity in the approach, even in difficult situations, to maintain a hopeful attitude that things can be worked out. Assertiveness, where one wants to have one's position, to do it assertively, but without offending. Conflict resolution, whenever differences arise, divergences arise, to be able to resolve them in a manner acceptable to both the sides. Having empathy, to be able to understand the other person's situation, appreciate their difficulties, and have therefore have an approach of trying to look things from their perspective. Active listening. Listening is one of the most important skills in communication. Most of the miscommunication which happen is due to defective listening. Most of us, we believe that we listen to other people while actually we may not be doing so. You might have come across situations when you have told some particular aspect to another person, could be friend, could be your brother, sister, or mother, father, and short while ago they tell you that you have told what you told was X, which was different from what you actually intended telling or what you actually told them. It creates misunderstanding. So listening to a person with attention, listening to customers with attention is important, so that you understand him very clearly what exactly is he saying. Not listening attentively could mean you miss some important aspects, or you interpret certain things in a different way, what he did not say or he did not intend saying. Active listening helps in understanding the needs of the customer properly, and the other person should also feel that you are listening to him. If your friend is talking or your brother is talking to you and you just lie back on your chair with eyes closed, in a short while the other person is likely to feel little offended or feel irritated that you are not bothered in hearing him and you are not paying any attention to him. So you, in active listening, there has to be some responses or seeking some clarifications which convey to the other person that yes, you are attentively listening to him. Body language. The body language also reflects whether you are listening to the other person. If you are sitting across the table with your customer and your chair is away from the table or you recline back away from the table, it will indicate to the customer that you are not interested in conversing with him or in relating with him. On the other hand, if you are slightly leaning forward on the table or during the conversation, you make sometimes you make motion towards the uh, other person as if trying to listen to him, he gets a signal that yes, you are paying attention to him, and this particular point was uh, important to you, and you have demonstrated it by leaning further ahead. Patience. In dealing with other persons, patience is very, very helpful. It helps you in keeping cool and calm, talking to customers very coolly, calmly, leaves a very good impression on the person. Particularly when you are dealing with negative issues, it helps you in dealing with those issues in a positive manner. It helps resolve conflicts very efficiently, because when you are mentally cool and when conflict situations arise, you can better analyze those situations and you can think about what are the possible resolutions and how you could have win-win situation. Positivity. It helps in handling customers. Whenever you deal with customers and you respond to him positively, then it creates a good relationship with that customer. A customer comes to you with some request. You may find it a little difficult, and if you react, no, it's not possible, it's just against our rules, your immediate reaction being negative will make the customer feel that no, you are not willing to help him out. On the other hand, if you listen to him carefully and you respond, okay, let me see, can we do something about it? How we can do something? I don't have something readily for this, but something can work out. That positive approach builds up a rapport. Customer understands you have some constraints, but you are also willing to find solution for him. Good knowledge of product or service will help in conveying and convincing and helps your positivity, because that you can in various situations convey certain resolution. So to stay positive, one should be optimistic and one should be proactive, trying to proactively look for alternatives. Confidence. Banking business requires customers' confidence. It is vital for banking business. So creating a background of trust and professionalism. The customer should have trust in you. If the customer has trust in you, it will have trust in the bank, and that will help the business grow further. And building that trust with the customer and having confidence with the customers also is important. You should be able to judge, yes, you can trust this customer, particularly if some credit products being used, that having that ability to have trust and to be able to discern. It also makes customers feel that their problem is important. Problem solving skill. Understand the problem carefully. That is first important aspect in problem solving. And then with your knowledge, try to look for the best solution. And developing these skills helps in building up the relationship with the customer. If you have helped a customer during his difficult times, difficult situation, then that makes, whenever he is in problem, that really leaves a very long lasting impact on the relationship, because customer will always remember that incident and will be tied up to you. Accountability, it is fundamental of the customer service. Whenever we are rendering any service, we are giving any product, etc., the other person has the confidence that if something happens, you will own up the responsibility, you are accountable to the customer, and you will not shirk away your responsibility. It Accountability guarantees that customer has confidence in you and therefore in the bank. Apologize. Ability to apologize, a very difficult aspect, very important, but very difficult. Most of us are very hesitant to in apologizing. If there is a situation where there has been a poor service, apologizing to the customer on your own behalf for yourself leaves a good impression on the customer. There might be sometimes a situation that the fault was not yours, it could have been somewhere else in the chain, but you, as business correspondent, represents the bank. Owning up and apologizing on behalf of the bank leaves again a very good impression on the customer about of that business correspondent as well as of the institution of the bank. That yes, here is a bank which is willing to take responsibility. While apologizing, it builds up the background for finding solution next and go to the next level, how to come out of that problem some situation. Therefore, we have seen good communication skill is important. What is communication? It is exchange of information, views, and thoughts between two persons. And the process to create a common understanding. Ultimately, the purpose of every communication is to develop common understanding between those two persons or more than two persons, a group in case of a group. Communications are of two types, oral or written, formal or informal. Communications between friends, among family members is informal totally. While communications in professional life, within the bank, within the organization, business correspondent communication with executives of the bank or with the customers are formal. In Mostly in the formal communication also, there is slight element of informal communication when we meet official colleagues or when we meet a customer. While we talk business, we talk formally, we also talk slightly general talks of personal level, which helps in building some rapport. The ability to communicate, if properly, is very important because if that is not proper, what its effect can be, a bad communication can break relationship. A good communication can build relationships, it can strengthen relationships. Communication is not only through words, it happens through body language also. Body language is important in communication. How you are sitting when you are sitting with the customer, when you are conversing with him, if you are sitting with your legs on the legs, and while customer is talking, if you are looking away at some painting or picture or wall clock, it conveys some different meaning. Harmony between body language and words spoken is a must. You, if you are telling someone that you are very happy with that person, while your face is very stern, it's your eyes reflect some terse feelings, your words will not have proper effect. So harmony between the body and words, what you say is important. Good communication, the main points are listening carefully, as we have discussed in detail, is one important aspect. But communication is two ways. It is not just telling somebody of my views, but even knowing other persons. And then the communication continues when I listen to other person carefully. I respond to that other person appropriately, and similarly from the other side, the same thing happens. So the communication is built up. Politeness, to deal with other persons politely. Nobody likes rough behavior. So if there is brusqueness in behavior, if there is roughness in behavior, the relationship and connection with other persons cannot be long sustaining, and it will not help sustained communication. Clarity in talk, in thoughts, and in what we say. The objective of communication is conveying some message, conveying some views or thoughts. I should be clear in what I am saying so that I say what I really intend saying. And the other person also understands it in the same manner. That establishes a good communication because then both the sides know each other well. They are on the same plane. Having empathy. Whenever situation arises that yes, you are in a situation, some person is sharing one's problem, one's difficulties, or even some trouble caused because of your action, to be able to see it from that person's point of view, to be able to appreciate the other person's feeling, is builds up the good communication. Removing any obstruction, if there are divergence in thoughts, if there are conflicting thoughts and views, how to remove those obstruction if those thoughts and views are hindering communication, if the issues can be talked out and one could arrive at certain agreement. Those issues will then not harm or mar communication in future. Keeping patience. If situation arises that it leads to some unpleasantness, it may lead to some unpleasantness. The patience helps in avoiding that type of situation, that there will be no unpleasantness. Having eye contact in face-to-face communication, eye contact is very important because that establishes much better rapport than just talking to other person looking elsewhere. No arguments. Arguments should never be there in communication. There can be discussions. It should be professional on issue-based discussion. Responding to. So while talking, listening and responding and having those interpersonal contact and maintaining them. So friends, let's sum up. We have learnt about certain skills for building up relationship with others, which is very important in professional life, particularly in banking business. So for a business correspondent to be effective, to improve effectiveness, BCA needs to imbibe the following aspects. Commitment towards social objectives and goals. You, we have learnt about various social objectives which banking business has and various goals, and particularly in respect of financial inclusion. So commitment towards this is very important for business correspondent because that is the goal, that is the policy objective of the bank which the BCA is representing. Having sensitivity to the customers, dealing with weaker section of customers, particularly vulnerable customers. So one needs to be very sensitive to them, handle them very carefully because in financial inclusion, it is important that they connect with the BCA and they are willing to come into the fold of formal financial sector. Developing confidence and skills. Developing confidence of customers in oneself and in the bank. Developing the various skills of communication which will help in developing confidence. Avoid making a false or misleading statement. This is very important because a false statement will create a very bad image of both the bank and the BCA. Do not conceal or omit material facts. Any material fact about the product, about the service should be told very clearly. Concealing that becomes deceiving the customer, and deception of customer is not right. It could even be an offense, criminal offense, and it will mar the relationship very badly whenever the customer knows about it. It will mar the reputation of the BCA as well as the bank. So one should be careful not to sell concealing associated risk factors of financial products. Several financial products have several risks associated with them. These should be told very clearly to the customer upfront and explained to him very clearly. Otherwise, if the customer suffers some loss, it may create liability for the bank to compensate him for that loss. So friends, I hope what we have discussed, various skills which are important for BCA. You have liked this discussion today, and hopefully this will be useful to you in your profession.